Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasell, and welcome to Week in Review. This is a video that we do each week where we take a look at all the videos we did the previous week. It's hopefully helpful to you, so you can watch us as kind of an index of sorts, and if you see us talking about a video and you're like, whoa, I want to know the full details about that video, then just click the link in the description below. Let's get started.
Hey everybody, I'm Garcia. Here's what I did last week. So I reviewed Waldmeister, which I rated a 5 out of 10. This is a two-player abstract game in which you are moving these trees trying to make groupings of 3 different things, either 3 colors or 3 heights of trees. One player's colors, one player's heights. Playing heights is definitely more difficult, but ultimately the main issue I had is that the game just wasn't very exciting. It felt a little blasé. It was not a game that captivated me. I did not, at the end of every session, go, can't wait to try that again. What would I do? What would I change? There wasn't really anything like that. It's a chatty kind of abstract game, not a thinky, deep one. And that I don't find particularly exciting. When I'm playing an abstract game, I want it to feel like it's doing a lot with a very limited amount of time. This one just kind of felt largely uninteresting to me. I reviewed from the same company a puzzle called Sisal, I think, or Sisal. This one I liked. I rated this a 7 out of 10. It's not without issues, but overall, it's got a really good feel. It reminds me of old wooden puzzles, the kind of thing you would get before, you could pull out a smartphone from your pocket and quickly knock out a little game or something. This one's a good... It has a good Sunday morning with your coffee feel, where you can set this out and play a couple of puzzles on it and sip on your coffee or tea. Obviously, it will be eventually run out of content. You will go through all the puzzles, but there's a decent amount there, and I enjoyed it. And then lastly, I reviewed Dice Throne, Santa vs. Krampus, which I rated an 8.5 out of 10. It's fantastic. The 2 characters are well balanced. They're interesting. The whole thing, I was concerned, would be a bit of a gimmick, a bit of a sort of a holiday wink at a nudge at players of previous Dice Throne games. But it's a very well done package. The 2 characters complement each other well. The entire thing feels engaging. It's lovingly produced, very nicely illustrated, and it's fun. This could absolutely be one of those holiday classics that... especially if you love to play 2-player games, would make its way out onto the table come the season and knock out a few games of it. So I really, really enjoyed it. Very well done. And that's it for me. I'll see you on the next one.
Hey everyone, Chris here. This week I took a look at 2 games. First was Keydom's Dragons, which I gave a 9. This is a re-theming of Aladdin's Dragons, a worker placement game where you're putting your workers out face down. They have different hidden numbers on them, and you're trying to have majority in lots of different areas. Collect resources, collect treasures at the end of the game. Super fun. Very much a game where you're playing against the other players at the table, trying to read what they're doing and their intentions. Fantastic. Terrible solo mode. Next up, I took a look at QE Commodities. This is the expansion for QE, and this raises this. I give this a 9. This raises QE. I would probably give about an 8, I think it is. And this gives you a second place thing that you're chasing for in the auction. So now the auctions are just immensely more interesting because it's not just about bidding the highest, but bidding the second highest. And there's a lot of mind games going on with that. Both of these games, Keydom's Dragons and this, about trying to figure out the table. I really like that. So this is a good week. I also took a look at 6 games I played, so you don't have to. And that's where a lot of the bad reviews were. Those are all 5s and lower, so go check out that video. Until next time, enjoy the rest of your week. I'm Chrissy.
All right, this week I took a look at Applejack. I came in at a 5 for this game. There wasn't much I could say that was wrong with this game other than it just wasn't fun. It felt very, limiting or too punishing with the decisions. The decisions weren't interesting, and it just felt like I was waiting for the game to be over. It was fine, but I'm not enjoying it. It's an economical game that just never seemed to have those returns that makes you want to be excited about your investments. So for me this week, Applejack, a 5.
Week in review time, I took a look at Mayhem from Simon. This was the Looney Tunes and Teen Titans Go. Me and Tom did a review of that. I gave it a 5 overall. Honestly, I love the miniatures in the game. They look super cool, but the gameplay itself was definitely lacking. I felt like there was a lot of randomness and decisions were not that impactful. So yeah, 5 for me on Mayhem.
Hey there everybody, it's Mike Delicio, and this week I was a part of 4 reviews. First up, we have Applejack, which is a new puzzly game from Uwe Rosenberg, and I tend to love his puzzly games. This one, not as much. I gave Applejack a 5 out of 10. Unfortunately, this is a game that I felt like was much ado about nothing. Not a lot of meaningful decisions, I felt, on your turn, and I was very annoyed with the kind of the constant scoring throughout, and then this laborious process to score at the end of the game. For such a simple kind of turn structure, it just didn't really appeal to me. Next up, we have Deities. Deities, I gave a 7.5 out of 10. This is an abstract game with a really nice production, beautiful plastic pieces on the board, where it's essentially an area control game with some special powers and has a little bit of like an Othello mechanism where you are placing a tile, activating a line, flipping tiles in the middle to their opposite side and getting resources that you then use to build buildings. A really solid game, a short game too. I really like Deities. Next up, we've got Dice Throne, Santa versus Krampus, which I'm giving an 8 out of 10. Dice Throne is a game that I like a whole lot. This is a nice standalone 2-character set that you can incorporate into their other games, or you can play it on its own. I feel like they did a really nice job of incorporating theme into the mechanisms of the game. That's something I think Dice Throne does very well. Santa versus Krampus, really good. I like both characters. I think the Krampus is a little bit more complex, but they're both really good. And then finally, I reviewed the first expansion for The Loop. This is The Revenge of Fauxzilla, which I also gave an 8 out of 10. This is another game that I like a lot, the Loop, a cooperative game. And this expansion is really mostly for people that are comfortable with the Loop, that have played it multiple times, because it includes 2 new agents, characters that are both on high complexity to play, and 2 new game modes that also are of high complexity. I like both those game modes a lot, and I like both of the new agents, but again, this is not something I would recommend for new players of the Loop. This is for people that have played the game, like the game, and want to add some complexity, add some variety to it. All right, well, there you have it. That was my week. Let's keep it moving.
And then finally, me. So I looked at Deities with Mike. I did not like it that much. I felt there was some strong randomness at certain, I like randomness, but there was punctuated points of randomness that affected the whole game. That makes me give it a 5 out of 10. Applejack and Uwe Rosenberg. I love Uwe Rosenberg stuff, but Applejack just felt too mechanical and too puzzly with not a lot of fun. 5 out of 10. The Looney Tunes / Teen Titans game, I took a look at that with Roy. That's another 5 out of 10. I wanted to like it more. It has great figures, but the actual fighting wasn't particularly interesting and a lot of randomness. Waldmeister, this is an abstract strategy game about putting up trees of different colors and sizes, and one person's colors, one person's sizes, and you're forming groups. It's fine, but it feels like I've seen it before. 6 out of 10. Wildstyle, this is a speed slash Uno-esque game. It just doesn't come together well at all. So that one, I think that is a 5 out of 10 actually. Nodus. This is a puzzle about the Celtic knots from a company that's the second game about the Celtic knot. It's just a fun little puzzle trying to put together these knots, and it looks really pretty when done. 7 out of 10. The big one this week was Frosthaven. I not only reviewed Frosthaven, but I compared Frosthaven to its predecessor, Gloomhaven. I think there are some issues with it, right? There's a huge setup. It is a lifestyle game, literally more than almost any other board game in existence, and yet it is fantastic and amazing. 9 out of 10. And then the highest rated game this week was an expansion for QE. QE Commodities, I gave a 9.5. I will always play QE with this expansion from now on. It adds a second place, cleans up the game, very few rules. I already loved QE. This makes it even better. Other than that, we took a look for the year 2022 in our Winter Spectacular. We did a lot of short top 10 lists. All of them were being played this week. We also did a bracket showdown between the best board game mechanisms of all time. And of course, we did our regular shows. If you never watched Board Game Breakfast or Crowd Surfing or Board Game Smorgasbord, those are fun shows that we do live, but they're still on YouTube after we do them live, so check them out. So that's what we did last week. Thanks so much for watching Week in Review. I'm Tom Vasell. We'll see you next time.